from the Presidio Golf Course in San Francisco, exclusive market news first coverage of the Memorial Day Golf Tournament. Here's your host, Steve Cannavale, brought to you by Red Chip, HealthSport, and WebT Corp.
Steve Cannavale, Market News First here at the Red Chip Conference in San Francisco, bringing the information on small cap companies you can't get anywhere else. We are in the city by the bay. We're learning about new companies. We're bringing you information on small cap companies you can't get anywhere else. You wanted to know about Genoil. You wanted to learn about GNOLF. We have CFO David Kippen with us. David, thank you for coming with us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. How's the conference going for you so far?
It's been wonderful. We've had a number of discussions with both retail and institutional investors so far, and we were quite well attended, I think, yesterday at our presentation.
Great. I like Dave Gentry. He's a very industry expert, been around, understands the game. I actually love the Red Chip brand. They've done a good job to help companies with market awareness, and Dave's done a good job. Tell us about Genoil.
Genoil is based in Calgary, Alberta. We're a public company listed in Canada and the United States. We have been developing and in development with a proprietary technology which allows producers of heavy oil or refiners who have excess residuals or carbon in their refineries to upgrade those heavy runs and create a high-quality synthetic crude oil equal to the highest quality oil available in the global markets today at a very low cost.
So you're that unique section within the oil and gas industry, the technology portion of it. The oil and gas kind of had the wind in its face for so many years, and now it's, China's a player on the global markets, and everybody wants to invest. I have housewives in Detroit instant message me during the day about filings from companies. The world's becoming more sophisticated. They recognize, as investors, they're becoming more sophisticated all across the board. What about your company should entice the investing world today?
Well, let me just address the first point that you made. I sat at a conference about a year ago, and the subject was investment opportunities in old energy. I think technology opportunities, using technology to make old energy more efficient, are going to be much greater in terms of market size and potential investment size and capital dollars distributed in the next 5 to 10 years than, say, fuel cells or photovoltaic, solar panels. So colossal opportunity to invest. The key things to know about Genoil are there is enormous market problem and market opportunity for what we do. The runs of light crude, the typical crude oil that we're used to and we've been weaned on for the last 30, 40 years, that era is over. We're not finding light, sweet crude anymore. What we're finding in the reserves in the world are what are called heavy and sour crude. It's thicker oil, it's much more viscous, it's got a lot more carbon in it, it's black, thicker stuff. That also has quite a high sulfur content. This presents an enormous problem for the global oil industry. The refining downstream sector of the industry doesn't really have the capacity to deal with a lot of this extra carbon or a lot of the sulfur, which has to come out before the oil is refined. So what Genoil does actually is we have a proprietary process, a patented process, patented in the United States, which allows us to very efficiently and at a very low cost recycle that carbon or take lower grades of oil and raise them to a higher standard, which then can be run through refineries to produce gasoline and jet fuel and all the very high value products that China and India and the rest of the world are demanding right now.
Was that uniquely your company's discovery? Did you buy that technology?
We developed the technology to be able to do what we do, which is extract hydrogen from third-party sources and combine it with the carbon to make synthetic crude oil at a very low cost. This is technology that's been in development by our research and development guys for about 10 years now. It was partly funded by Conoco and Gulf Canada back in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Is there more money? Is there more money going into R&D? Because you have to think that the more money that's pumped back into R&D, the more opportunity that there is to develop similar products for
Yeah, there are similar concepts out there in the market. The idea of sticking hydrogen into a hydrocarbon is not a new idea.
Yeah.
It's been perceived historically that it was very, very complicated and expensive to do. And what is differentiated about Genoil is we have a fixed bed reactor process, if that means anything to your investors, where we have a proprietary way of using a catalyst to facilitate that combination of molecules to create the crude oil. And we can do it at much lower heat and pressure, which means much lower capital costs, which means much lower operating costs for an operator. And operators desperately want to produce more gasoline and jet fuel and light distillates, and so this really helps their internal rates of return.
Let's talk about your global market opportunities.
About 70% of the world's oil is heavy and sour. Sour means anywhere from 1.5 to 3 or 4 or 5% sulfur by volume. The world cannot deal with a lot of sulfur, A, because it corrodes refineries and pipes that it goes through, and B, because in Western Europe and the United States and elsewhere, particularly for diesel fuel, there's a zero tolerance now from an environmental regulation standpoint for sulfur. So sulfur has to come out. That's a big driver for the adoption of our technology. The second biggest driver for the adoption of our technology is going to be the fact that simply the demand for light distillates, as I said before, for gasoline and jet fuel, is going to require that a lot of this heavy oil, a lot of this extra carbon is used much more efficiently than it is today. Right now, a lot of extra carbon that comes through refineries ends up in asphalt. It's called asphaltene. It ends up in highways and in the bottom of your sneakers, perhaps, low-value applications. And we basically use our technology inexpensively to create a very high-value application out of that extra carbon.
You guys are, what differentiates you?
Cost structure. What we do, we can compete with incumbent technologies known as coking, which are much less efficient and create a 25% increase over what a coker can do of a much higher value product, a 25% increase by volume at about the same cost. So if you can do the math on that, if you put in a barrel of feedstock here and you get 1.5 barrels of feedstock out the other side versus 0.8 barrels of feedstock of synthetic crude out the other side, then you've got a very valuable business model if you can do it at a low cost.
What excites you? You get up in the morning and you look in the mirror, splash water on your face. What excites you about being involved with this company today?
I think, again, to my point before, it's having a unique technology at the forefront of a rapidly changing market. I think the oil industry is going to go through, and the energy industry global is obviously going to go through a lot of tumultuous change in the next 10 years, and technologies like ours are going to be key linchpins in facilitating that change and bridging differences in prices in various markets.
I know there are some exciting opportunities out there that you're pursuing, kind of as a journalist and analyst. I get a lot of embargoed information, because I don't take equity positions.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, put little bugs in my ear.
Sure.
Things that you can talk about. I know you're pursuing some really interesting things out there.
Yeah.
What can we talk about? What should investors know about that is going on the horizon?
We're actively pursuing market opportunities in Russia, in the Middle East, in Latin America, and in the Far East. Our business model is to be an engineering and consulting firm that will do all the design and procurement work for building and upgrading an upgrader for a refiner or a producer of heavy oil, either way. We're looking at markets globally where there's either inefficient use of carbon in the refining system or where there's a lot of production of heavy sour crude oil. We're very excited about some of the prospects that are in our pipeline right now, which we hope to come to fruition at some point this year.
David, why don't you take a minute and talk to your existing shareholders and maybe some potential shareholders that are out there watching the show. Please use our platform to speak directly to them.
Well, I would say we We thank our shareholders for their continued support and patience, and we continue to work hard to deliver value for you in the areas of selling both the GHU technology in the key markets I just mentioned, as well as our oil water separation technology, which is something we're very excited about in the next year or so as well.
David Kippen, CFO, Genoil. David, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
I love to, talk all sorts of companies here at RedChip, all information that you can't get anywhere else. We're bringing information that you need, that you wanted to know. Thank you for all the IMs and the emails. I know you wanted me to take Genoil aside while we were here. Now you have that. Tell everybody about the podcast. Go out there and get the information off of the internet. The internet's a beautiful thing. So is Internet Protocol Television. Steve Cannibal, Market News First, reporting live from the RedChip Conference in San Francisco. Steve Cannibal, Market News First, of course, is news you can trust. Stay with us. We'll be right back.